Where are they? Never on time, these comedians, I tell you.
Oh! Here we go!
That's how you do that.
Wow! Welcome to the show!
What?
Oh, what an entrance, ladies and gentlemen.
I was supposed to dive roll over that, but I chickened out at the last second. Sorry.
We have two touring comedians coming from the UK. Mr. Sam Rhodes.
Hello, sir.
Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. I'm here to bring the European whimsy. That's what I'm doing.
Love it. And also in studio, Mr. Joe Stapleton.
I'm here just to bring the regular type of whimsy. Original whimsy. American whimsy.
We love that.
Whimsy that pays full price at the hospital. That's the whimsy I'm bringing. USA.
I'm a big fan of original whimsy. All of his early albums, just unbelievably good.
Hey, thanks for having us.
This is fun, guys. We have two touring comedians, one from the UK, as I mentioned, and one from God Bless America.
That's right.
So, hey, what a combination. We're super stoked you guys are here. How's it been going?
Well, it hasn't started yet. We've been touring comedians for almost a day. We have our first show tonight and our first hitting the highway shortly thereafter, very early tomorrow morning.
I've certainly been drinking like I'm already on tour. So I think I'm averaging about 4 hours sleep a day at the moment. This is what, day 5?
And but we actually haven't started, so I am a little concerned that that's Sam's pace at the moment.
yeah.
Like the hard work hasn't started yet.
Well, gosh, guys, you guys have a big tour ahead, hitting the Midwest and ending in Las Vegas, Nevada. Am I right?
That is correct, yeah. So
you guys got a big trip ahead.
actually, I'm curious if Sam could even name the stops we're going to in order.
No, I can't. I have the weirdest memory ever. I look at the poster with all of the stops on every day, and people say, "Where are you going to be in a week?" And I'm like,
I think it's maybe a little harder for you because you don't know the geography. So I can actually, in my head, look at in my mind's eye, look at a map of the United States. So tonight, Marion, Illinois, celebrations. Tomorrow, we're at a place called the Looney Bin in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yes.
From there, we drive all the way up to Chicago, where it's Juneteenth. So 2 white boys on Juneteenth. We think maybe we're gonna set that one out.
yeah, we're not going to do a gig for that one. Yeah.
We're just gonna, we're just gonna have our own private Juneteenth celebrations and let Chicago do its own thing. We don't need to be bothering them.
Yeah,
that
a bit
night.
of gentle reverence. That's what we're going to do.
And then we go from there to a place called Niles, Michigan.
I can't wait.
We go from Niles, Michigan to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
Fond du Lac.
Then to Abrams, Wisconsin. Then we come back here, I believe.
Yeah.
After that, we're doing Effingham. We're doing Lost Cross.
That gig is going to be my favorite one, I think. Because for that one, I'm sorry to interrupt. He's
No,
doing
that's
so
all
well
right,
here.
yeah.
But for that one, what we're doing, me and another comedian who was also a musician, we're filming this documentary while we're out here, and we can't use any songs that exist. Because we don't have the money for licensing. So as people are walking into that show, me and Bryce are going to improvise a load of punk songs about the town and the show and stuff. So that one's going to be really worth coming out to.
What if you guys accidentally improvise Ruby Soho?
It's happened a lot. You know, I was improvising the other day. I was like, oh no, I'm doing Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
It just happens.
So be careful.
Yeah,
you
gotta be careful.
You could make up an entirely identical genius song on your own in the moment.
That's it.
Lost Cross, and then we go to a place called Dayton, Kentucky, which is 5 minutes from Ohio, but not Dayton, Ohio.
Oh.
Yeah, really sucks
That's
for
interesting.
advertising it. Yeah, it's brutal. It's a really, I'm like, people are like, I think there's a mistake on your poster. I think you meant to write Dayton, Ohio. I'm like, nope, it's Dayton, Kentucky, and it is walking distance to Ohio, but it is not Dayton, Ohio. Thanks, America.
Welcome to the Midwest.
That's right.
Yeah.
Every state has a town that's named the same thing.
Yes.
So from Dayton, we go to Austin. We've got 2 gigs in Austin, Texas. Then we've got a gig in Fort Worth, a gig poker tournament combination. Another thing is we're going to be playing poker in a lot of these places. We're going to get to poker stuff in a minute. We go from Fort Worth to Albuquerque, Albuquerque to Flagstaff, Flagstaff to our finale in Las Vegas on July 5th, which will be like for lack of a better word, a special.
Yes.
I have opinions on specials, but that's more or less what it is.
Can I just say I'm in
Yeah.
absolute awe of your memory on this, like, because I couldn't have named 2 or 3 of those, I don't think.
Well, this is going to come off sounding passive aggressive. If you were doing all of the booking, you would probably have a better idea. But of the 19 places we're going, I booked in hotels and the shows in like 17 of them. So they're all finally. I had to look at the document a lot also. It took me a long time to get to this sort of memory point. That was weird.
The prank is now we've got to run all the way down again.
Speaking of that, we've got a laugh track.
Oh, I love it.
I saw his hand go there a couple times, and I was like, I wanted the eagle when I was talking about.
I was going to say,
how
have you
much
got the one that
healthcare
goes
is.
beep, beep, beep? Yeah!
I do love that one.
Woo.
I made that one a big part of my poker commentary for one particular gig I did, and it turned out that gig made it to the Ringer podcast, which is actually like a mainstream. See, look, people who know sports know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
You've mentioned a few things: the tour, the film crew that's here, the Las Vegas special that's also filming.
Yeah.
And now, did I hear right? You're going to be doing a show in Carbonsburg at Lost Cross.
Yes, that's right. Carbonsburg. Carbons Ferry.
I thought I heard that.
Carbonsberry.
Did I say Carbonsburg? I might have. It was Creatorsburg. Thank you very much.
Okay. So Lost Cross is an iconic venue. What a place to choose to start the tour.
Well,
can we talk about that?
Yeah, of course. It's actually like next week, but that's fine. No,
It's confusing. But
it is
yes.
confusing.
It is an iconic, legendary place from what I understand. In fact, I'll let Sam knows a lot more about it than I do. The only thing I will say is that it was the only stop on our entire tour that a couple of my friends were like impressed. They're like, "You're playing where?" I'm like, "Lost Cross." Is that? And they're like, "Can we swear on this podcast?"
Sure.
Yeah, it's a thing. And but I still know nothing about it.
Well, it's like all of the proper legendary kind of punk venues in that it looks like an absolute sack of shit and it smells bad, but everybody is like, we love going to a place that looks like it's going to fall down and stinks, because that's punk. You don't want to be in a lovely building like this with all this beautiful stuff. It's all clean. It's all nice. No, you need to be in a true shithole to really get the vibes.
Would I have to like adjust my material for being in a punk club and do like a little bit more like angry?
Little aggro,
yeah.
And if no one likes the jokes, they all spit at you.
Yeah. But that's a sign of respect in punk culture, I assume, right? And when they carry you off stage and beat the shit out of you out back, that's actually a show of being welcomed.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I want to be your best friend now.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to be really fun. I really love things like this. My very first special that I made for the BBC, they wanted me to shoot it in a theatre, and I actually shot it in my kind of awful live music venue that I used to play with my bands when I was a teenager, because I've always loved that kind of vibe. And it's just, it's one of the things we're trying to really get on this tour is like, comedy is not, Dave Chappelle in a giant room for 99% of people. Comedy is places like the Lost Cross. It's bars that have chicken wire on the front. It's all of this stuff.
Not just the places, but also the struggles of like, hey, I think no one might be coming to our show tonight, and we have to like just go out, and if we can just go to a bar and get 5 more people, this show will go from being a complete disaster to being probably okay.
Yeah.
Like how thin the margins are, not just with finances, but the difference between like a show that you feel okay about and a show that makes you want to quit comedy forever. Because it only takes one show of there being almost no people there, or you just not doing very well, where you go, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is a huge mistake. Why did I ever do this? This is clearly not for you.
Yeah.
And then the next day you wake up feeling a little bit better about it. But if you can prevent that first one of just being no fault of your own, just no people there, by going out and like pounding the pavement and charming people up, this dude right here can talk his way into so much shit. I have no idea how he gets away with it, but he's good at that. So that's part of the gig too, is promoting. As you know, I'm pulling out all the stops to promote poker along the way. So something that's always happened to me is when I go do gigs in towns like this. For example, the last time I did Celebrations in Marion, which is where we are tomorrow night.
That's where we're tomorrow night. Come on down.
Some poker fans came out who know me from TV poker stuff. And usually after the show, I'm I drink during the shows. I'm not gonna lie. I'm drunk by the end of show, most comedy shows, and they're like, "Hey man, you like want to come play some poker?" And I never say yes. And I thought, you know what, this documentary would be like a really interesting opportunity. I'm gonna say yes to those opportunities and go play poker at people's houses. And I get a little something fun from my documentary. The people there, some of them will give a shit who I am. Like they'll be genuinely tickled to play with me.
And you play with them in return.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to play with each other. Let me write that down and use it on TV if I can at some point. Let me see. I forgot my notebook. Damn. Yeah, and so what we've been doing to promote also is I've been making deals with like local card rooms and being like, hey, why don't you promote my show a little bit? And then after the comedy, I'll come into your casino and play for a couple hours. Maybe 3 people will show up, but that's business for both of us. So it's a lot of moving pieces to this tour, but basically, yeah, we're trying to show like we don't have a publicist, we don't have a tour manager, we just are kind of bootstrapping this, just calling in every favor we can. And for someone like me, I'm busy all year round doing poker stuff. Like I don't really get a chance to do many sets, I'm not gonna lie, or work on material. So for me, this is like a boot camp. This is like 3 straight weeks of comedy before I go back to only have the free time to do it like once a month again.
It is the nice feeling of like, this is the tour and this is all we have to worry about. And I think that's what I enjoy the most is like, once we're out, all of a sudden, all the other worries back home, you know, they can all go on the back burner, you know, and all we've got to worry about is like, is this show going to be good? Are we going to get there on time? Is the car going to explode? You know, these things, regular worries. It's good. I love it.
I'd say. And what a awesome creative freedom to just say yes on this tour.
Very much so. And we're kind of like trying to chase the funny a bit, aren't we? When we meet people and when we kind of do stuff, we're trying to find the kind of joy in what it is that we do, I think, which is I just enjoy immensely. Because I always think like my favorite thing, if I can like play, if I can muck about, then I'm as happy as a clam. So if we can just do a lot of that while we're traveling and while we're meeting people, then I'm going to love this. You know, I'm going to have a great time.
Sam and I have like very different philosophies in a lot of various areas, but one of the ways that we completely overlap is taking in Americana. And I like, despite the fact that I come across like a liberal elite, I love Anytown, USA. I love diners. I love bakeries. I love little baseball card shops. All that stuff. I love, you know what Midwesterners are obsessed with? Gas stations.
Yes.
They've all got a favorite. They're loyal to a gas station and they will like argue with you over which gas station is the best gas station. So I can see it though. I've been to some real cool gas stations in the Midwest, so I get it. So we both love that being in Anytown, USA. That is really helpful.
And I love because for me, I've said this to a lot of people on the tour already, but for me, all of these areas, they look like every film I watched as a child. I didn't get to travel internationally as a young man and a child. So like to be able to come out here and just be in a town that looks like it was in like E.T. or something, you know, I just get super excited about it. And I just love the stuff that you guys just absolutely take for granted. That is just completely alien to me, you know. Speaking of gas stations, my favorite thing ever, I saw a stall in a gas station where they were selling cowboy hats, those musical frogs that you kind of scrape the stick over the top of, and then next to that, a set of nunchucks. And I was like, for someone in America, this is the one-stop shop. They've gone, I need a frog, a hat, and some nunchucks right now.
So nunchucks were illegal in the UK. Still are,
Yeah,
right?
still illegal,
That's why
yeah.
it's so weird for them. It would be like us seeing a grenade launcher.
Yeah, you just get a grenade launcher at the gas
because we
station.
can get everything else here. So what would it take to get that sort of level of surprise? Probably a grenade launcher. But yes, nunchucks are 2 sticks with a rope.
Yeah, illegal.
Illegal
Get 'em out
in the
here,
UK.
yeah.
Can't do it. They haven't. No, we're not going to go there. Never mind. That's my first self yellow card of the trip, where I decided I shouldn't say something. So, but as far as like our special is concerned, we have like a different philosophy on that. Like Sam is a guy who's totally comfortable putting out a special every couple of years. That's not for me. I feel like I haven't earned a special that I need to, and also when you do a special, you're kind of supposed to retire that material. And I would especially want to do that because I do have people that come see me specifically. So they get a babysitter, pay for parking, get a designated driver, all that other stuff, buy a ticket, get 2-drink minimum, get in a fight on the way home. And I don't want them to have seen stuff that's on the internet already.
Yeah.
And I'm not really prepared to give up my best material, even though some of it is quite old at this point. So what I'm doing on this trip is my plan is that my special, which is just being taped comedy, is going to be stuff that I wrote on the trip.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be, here's the story of this trip in stand-up form. So, just little stuff we've noticed along the way that will eventually make its way. Probably that gas station bit will in some way end up in the special because it's something I've noticed about, America.
Well, one of the nice things about being on tour, like, it's hard when you live and breathe comedy and you do it for a job to actually have, like, real life experience. So, the longer people have been going in comedy, the more and more the stories are mined from way before they were famous or, like, very, very exaggerated, very kind of pretend.
Made up.
Yeah, made up, basically, yeah. So I love, like, last night I was out much later than I should have been, but I ended up chatting to, like, 2 or 3 guys, and, like, I learned a bit about them, and that sparks a little bit of kind of interest, and this is something that you don't often get, because a lot of the time you're, traveling to a show, you do the show, you travel home from the show, you go to bed. And that's life for a long time. But with this, while we're on the road, we got the chance to meet people, we got the chance to come and look at things. We're going to go hang out with some wrestlers next week. That's going to be really fun.
Yeah, we're gonna learn to professional wrestle.
Yes. I'm going to have a man.
I might quit the tour.
Yeah.
Right then and be like, guys, I found my calling. Good luck.
Yes, that's it.
Best of luck to you at Lost Cross.
Well, you already pulled one stunt this morning, so maybe there's some
yeah,
more
look
in
at that.
order.
Built for it, mate.
So,
I can't
And this
wait.
is how good he is, by the way. He did not actually break it. So if we had to do a second take, we could. That's how.
we might do a few
That's
tests.
how. By the way, I wanted to bring up for a second. This is so sweet. Look, can we hold this up for the camera?
Oh,
You
yeah.
saw it already at the beginning of the show, I guess.
Yeah. Grab it.
Someone personalized this for
Yeah,
us.
it's gorgeous.
And here, if you want to hold up that end of it.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
This is great radio, by the way, if you're not watching this. Fantastic. What the f*** are they doing? So Sam got a little Union Jack.
Yeah.
And I got 4 aces of spades. Which I find it's so sweet and touching, and obviously, but if that happened, like, I would go to jail. Like, you would not make it out of the casino alive if you were like 4 aces of spades. It'd be like that scene from Rounders when the state troopers kick the shit out of them. And is this symbolism for your show that I'm unaware of?
That's
the bullseye.
that was to tell Sam where to go through.
Oh, I see.
Do you know
the
that
problem
you
is
sent it
that
to
was
the
on the
back of
other
it?
side.
Yeah.
So,
Don't step on the bit.
No,
don't ruin the bit. Don't deny their reality. Yes, and yes, and.
This is the only reality is this show.
That's
Exactly.
right. Yeah,
You've got it.
Anyway, thank you. That's very sweet. And I kind of had this thought while I was sitting there, because we're in the Midwest, home of the serial killer. That, like a serial killer, I will take a little souvenir.
Yeah.
I started this yesterday at the
Oh, were you
local
grabbing
news.
little souvenirs out
So
of that?
one of the anchors left her purse open. I took her diaphragm. So I've got that, and I just want to tear off the bit here that says Joe with the 4 aces of spades. Unless someone has left a purse open somewhere on the way out the door, I can grab like a hairbrush or something.
Security.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just settle for that. The 4 aces of spades, because that's cool. That's one of the. I do generally like poker. What is it? Iconography? Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, like pictures and things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pictures and spades and like the 4 suits being on a tire flap or something like that. I do love the game of poker and find it very charming. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited you guys are here, and it's an awesome project. And really, this tour is the best way to see that Americana that you're talking about is on the road.
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Yeah, and you miss a lot.
And to have something to write about.
Of course, yes, interactions like this. By the way, I screwed up earlier. I said our show's tomorrow in Marion. It's tonight.
Tonight
That's
in
how,
Marion.
Tonight.
Yes,
It's
That's
good
how
one.
today.
messed up I am. Right? See, you can't see down the road. I can't see what's right in front of me. That's the tagline for our buddy
That's it,
cop
yeah.
movie.
You know, we're learning. You know, we're different people, but we're learning to love. Do you know what I mean? Is we're going through
One
it
of
together.
them can't see down the road, and the other one can't see what's right in front of him.
One of them tries really hard, and the other doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, so anyway, that show's tonight. And
Yes.
this podcast probably won't even come out in time, so I can probably stop plugging it.
Yeah, that's
No,
right.
we'll try to get it out today.
Oh, lovely.
Really?
So we
Wow,
can
all
hopefully
right.
get this out today before the show. But we mentioned the tour will be coming back through. So if
Yes.
you're hearing this and you see the show, this episode before the show comes out, you've got another chance to see these guys
Yes.
in Carbonsburg.
And if you, he's doing the bit.
I
right?
know
Yeah,
he's
no,
doing
I
it.
don't know. It's funny though. Sorry, he's selling it so well that I'm like, is he doing the
he's
bit?
like very straight faced.
I'm also actually. There's another thing. It's like I'm always surprised anyone's aware of anything I've ever done. So when I think they're referencing me, I'm like, no one saw that.
being referenced.
Yeah, like
Hey, you guys got some eyes on this tour so far already. So there you go.
Look,
all
this
right?
area has been really generous and really sweet with us. People like you, the news station, this fella Nathan, who is
Nathan's
the mayor,
G.
unofficial mayor, David Kirk and Bryce Evans, who between the three of those guys basically organized this entire show for us. Really welcoming. I'll tell you guys right now, I'll say it on the air just in case I haven't made it clear. The comedians in the Midwest who have helped me are so generous and so nice, and there's nothing I can do for them.
Yeah.
Like if they came to Los Angeles, I would let them stay at my house. I would put them up. But like I can't get spots in Los Angeles. And so it'd be like, hey, you think people are like, what are you nuts? Sarah Silverman's been waiting 3 weeks for a spot here. So it's I can't return the favor. I do want to say about the tour. I believe the only website it's on is mine.
Yep.
Which is Stapes. So everyone calls me Stapes in the poker world, and I couldn't get Stapes.com because someone's squatting it. So my website is Stapes.com.com.
Okay. Stapes.com.
So you spell out Stapes.com
Stapes.com.
and then add .com to it. Yeah.
Stapes.com.com.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
Oh,
We got a
wow,
Rogan
they've got
screen
it
here.
correct.
Then I
Yeah.
got to spell it out. You got to see, this is good. I'm glad we
Okay,
went
here
over
we
this,
go.
Luke.
All right, let's
So
do it.
Stapes.com, all in letters.
Stapes.com.
There we go.
All right.
Like Kim.com.
Yes.
Gotcha.
There we go.
He is.
And
What
there's
a beautiful boy.
There's the whole tour schedule there. And if we're coming to your neck of the woods, Sam and I are very easy. You just deal with us directly. You can just ask us a question on Twitter or Instagram.
Just come
Facebook.
see us and send us a message. And if you've got a fun activity you want us to come and do, and we're in town, then yes,
Yeah, if
want
we
to
got
come
the
and do
free
it.
time, we'll come hang out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to go we're doing a mini golf tournament.
Oh yes, that's going to be fun.
Up in Wisconsin with a professional mini golfer is taking us under his wing.
We've been discussing shooting the pigs in Texas as well, but I'm not 100% sold on that.
Sorry, are you in a helicopter shooting pigs?
Yes.
So the helicopter and gun together is like
It just seems like the most dangerous thing you could
it's a
possibly do.
non-zero chance of death.
I think so, yeah. I think the problem I've got with it is everyone has said these pigs are assholes and they ruin everything and they attack all the other animals. But I just know if I go and do it, the first time I ever shoot anything, it'll be the one pacifist pig. It's the one who's like trying to say to the others, come on, guys, we don't have to be like this. And I'm like,
in addition to that, Sam, 1 out of every 6 of those pigs is going to be gay.
exactly.
And
I
like
don't-
0.01% of them is going to be trans.
Oh,
Do you
mate,
really
I
want to
don't
be the
wanna
guy
live with
that
I
kills
can't-
trans
no,
pigs?
No, definitely not. I can't have that on my conscience.
Exactly. There's going to be some decent pigs in
There's
there.
got to be. I mean, statistically, hashtag not all pigs.
I think either way makes good bacon.
Exactly. That's right.
Oh, I don't even think you can. Anyway, not to
Can you
step
not
on
eat
your
them?
bit. I don't think so.
Oh man, I'd have to eat it.
I don't know.
otherwise
I
I'd
don't know
feel-
anything about this, to be honest. It's a big country.
It is a
live in.
big country.
Yeah.
But good Lord, nunchucks to AR-15s out of helicopter.
Yes,
Now that
exactly.
isn't America saying hello. I don't know what is.
I had never fired a gun before I came to America a couple of years back, and in England it's all banned, so absolutely no guns for anyone because we've got no freedom.
Even
But
the cops.
Yeah, even the cops, no guns. No one has guns. My father.
You gotta
was,
wait for the gun cop to get there. Like there's one
There's a
gun,
special gun cop, yeah, and they have to share it,
They,
yeah.
they pass it around. So if a guy's like sleeping and has the gun, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, I kind of thought like, you know, it's all banned and we've never missed it. So I was like, yeah, I'm very anti-gun. But then I came out here and I shot a gun and I went, oh, this is why you guys like this, because it's cool as fuck. Like, you get to blow things up.
Right?
Yeah, it's great. So it's one of the few things I've kind of genuinely changed my mind on now a little bit, like responsible gun ownership. I think it's good. But I think that's a bit too heavy a topic. So what's your favorite coffee?
You sure you don't want to talk about Israel-Palestine?
Oh, yeah,
here,
that's really
Sam?
good. Let's do the serious voice and get into the serious things.
Let's see.
I have had fun shooting guns.
Yes, I certainly did. I shot a shotgun slug and I loved it. It made me feel like a big man.
For sure. I mean, is it mostly used for hunting? Can they hunt?
There's such an interesting rule. You can own a shotgun, but you have to account for every single shell.
Oh,
so
my
if you
gosh.
own a shotgun, you are given, when you buy your shotgun, a license to own X amount of shells. And if a single one of those is missing, they take your license away and fine you.
My gosh.
So you have to keep every expelled shell, and you have to like talk about when you've used it and why you've used it.
But on the plus side, if you don't want to get murdered, all you have to do is never agree to go hunting with someone, and you're pretty much safe from gun violence.
Like, it's almost impossible to do that sort of thing.
I think I crunched the numbers one time, and the number of people that die in the UK every year is less than the number of people from gun violence, I should say.
Yeah.
The number of people who die from gun violence in the UK every year is less than the number of the people in the United States who get shot by their dogs.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, that's how big. Now, granted, that's not proportionally scaled to like population, but it's still a staggering statistic.
It's pretty funny. I also love that you guys aren't allowed Kinder eggs because they're bad for children, like these chocolate eggs with a toy in, because they were like, oh no, these children could possibly choke on these.
I think it was a choking that happened.
Really? And then they banned them.
Yeah.
It's funny how one choking and they're away, but all the shootings, they're like, nah, fuck it.
Well,
Anyway,
opening a Kinder egg is only fractionally more fun than blowing up something with a gun.
That's exactly right. It's a little bit more fun. You've got a tiny frog in there that you can play with. It's great.
Yeah.
Don't
in
chew
the
bullets.
gun, he means. Yeah.
Don't put them in your mouth.
Yeah, right, exactly. Don't choke on those.
No.
You got another topic for us,
I was
Luke?
going to say,
Yeah. So do you guys have, do you have any good bomb stories? Your biggest bomb?
Oh, I love this topic. It's one of my favorite things. I was running a show at a nightclub in London. I didn't have a huge amount of faith in the longevity of this show because they wanted to do like a Monday or a Tuesday night. Brand new location, very, very dense. Already a lot of comedy around there. But the owner of the bar was super keen. He was like, I'm going to pour loads of money into the advertising. And what I want you to do is come to the club opening and do a set at the club opening. And I said, absolutely not. Because everyone's going to be moving around. Everyone's going to be dancing. If we do it, I want it to be before it kind of turns into the club night. And he said, yeah, fine. And he paid me the money and I turn up. I turn up at 8 o'clock and I think, all right, I'll do my speech and then I'll go away and I can save myself from the embarrassment. But the night just rolled on. So 9 o'clock comes, 10 o'clock comes.
No opportunity.
He just didn't introduce me.
He never did it, yeah.
And by this point, this was a club opening. Everyone had free drinks and was partying and dancing, having an absolutely great time. There was probably 200 people in there, maybe 250 people in there. And I was up the top of these stairs. All of a sudden, he turns the music off, turns the lights up, and was like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Sam Rhodes. And I just had to walk. Exactly.
Put the music back on. What the fuck is happening?
Exactly.
We were having fun. Fuck this guy. He might be the funniest guy in the world, but fuck him.
Man, I genuinely felt like a crazy person doing that show because I walked down these stairs with everybody looking at me expecting like, who is this man? And then I just had to like walk. There wasn't a stage. So I was just wandering around trying to do my material to people who were like actively trying to ignore me and furious that they'd had to stop dancing. But the guy was like, before I went on, he was like, you got to do 20 minutes, okay? And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, well, that's what I'm paying you for, so you got to do it. And by the end, you literally couldn't hear me over people just resuming their conversations. And then I just took the money. And you always know that a show has been bad when you get this answer when you out the back. So I was speaking to the security guard going, oh, man, that comedy's hard, isn't it? It's hard.
Those are my favorites, actually. The things people say to you when you bomb, or when, for me, I have very few bombing stories, but I have a lot of stories of like doing just okay. And that hurts more sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're like, I never really brought it, like I never really got him at any point, like that's different than bombing as far as I'm concerned. And sometimes when you bomb, like in that situation, it feels terrible when you're doing it, but like you don't decide that you're going to quit because of it, because there's just nothing you could do. It's like totally out of your control.
I kind of knew what that was going to be. I was psyching myself up for a load of horrendous embarrassment. Yeah.
Doing a bunch of shows that are just okay is like more demoralizing. If you do them in a row, if you don't really like knock it out of the park at some point to like get your confidence back.
My beautiful wife, Maria Fedulova, big time plug. She's also a stand-up comedian. She's from Russia, and she is pitching her first show at Edinburgh this year. She's got a full hour. She won the Phoebe Waller-Bridges Bursary, which is like an award for doing a really good show. So that's all coming up.
Nice.
And we were doing some previews of that show, and I was opening for her. And we did 2 of these previews, completely sold out. Second day, I step out onto the stage. It's 10 minutes. I'm super confident. It's all going to be fine. I do 10 minutes, and the crowd are just like, nope. And it was the first time in years that they'd been full on like, absolutely not. We really don't like this. They weren't expecting to see me. They wanted to see my wife.
So, you mentioned this yesterday. So what sort of adjustments will you make based on that? Like, are you just going to ignore it and be like, carry on in general?
If for a very short set like that, I'm just going to do this 10 and then I'm going to get out. But if it's longer, you've really got to...
I mean, moving forward, not in that moment. I mean, like, I would go, maybe I like... I would be like, what did I do? Like, how can I improve from this? Is that something that crosses your mind at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think the weird thing is in England, we like the underdog a lot more, and we like you... There's kind of a thing with UK comedy. If you like boast about your career on the stage, or your stories are like, hey, I was at the store the other day with this guy. Everyone's like, ugh. So I think what I did is I had falsely and wrongly assumed that everyone was going to know who I was, and it was a pleasure that they got me to, to see me do like this little thing. So
well, that's great introspection then, if you realize that could have been a factor.
I think I kind of came in just assuming like, oh, these guys, this is going to go fine because they're going to know this.
Would you just call it overconfidence, maybe?
It was an overconfidence, definitely, I think, and it really hit quite hard. When the first 2 or 3 jokes didn't land, I was like, shit, they're like the A-game opener.
That's such a difficult needle to thread, and it is more difficult in the UK, I think, where you can like sort of defer to a lack of confidence there, and they kind of find that funny.
Yeah.
In America, you have to bring it. You have to have that confidence. But if you're overconfident, also it can go the other way. So it is a pretty difficult needle to thread.
Well, we don't really kind of typically like kind of braggadocious big kind of people. It's much more about having a bit of respect, and kind of, you don't want to be boastful. If you're boastful, that's definitely seen as a bit of a social faux pas. So a lot of American acts who come over, they come and they kind of do it like they do in America, and sometimes people are a little bit like, hey, come on now, this is a bit immodest. There's a guy called Stephen Fry, and he put it perfectly. In Animal House, there's a folk guitarist playing the guitar, and then the guy in his toga comes and he steals the guitar. And
John Belushi.
Yeah, John Belushi, and he smashes the guitar. And in American comedy, the comedian is the man who is smashing the guitar. And in British comedy, it's the man who had his guitar smashed.
Yeah, that's good.
And that is a very good example of the difference. Like, we do not often have very, very high status men that all talk about how successful and wonderful they are. It's a lot more of the humor comes from like humility and embarrassing situations, I'd say.
So a major part of my act now is, and it's clean, which is new for me, is just talking about what I do for a living. Because when I did my Edinburgh show, one of my hero comics came to see me, Michael Ian Black. Wow. And after the show, I said, hey, Michael, I love notes. Please, you've been a comedian for 30 years. What have you got for me? How can I improve? And he goes, I wanted to know more about you. And he's like, you have one of the coolest jobs in the world, but you don't talk about it at all. And I go, well, you know what it is that like, for me, I think comedy is struggle. Comedy is, nobody really wants to hear from a winner. Nobody wants to hear, they like to hear about the struggle on stage. They don't want to hear about success. And Michael looks at me and he goes, Joe, you're not that successful. And so now all this, I have this, a pretty solid 10 minutes about what I do for a living. And it's all about being not that successful. Like that's the joke, is that I'm kind of like a celebrity version of Blade. Except I have all of the weaknesses of being a celebrity, none of the strengths. Like I never get anything for free, but I'm like 3-1 get stabbed by a weird fan at some point in my life.
Can I talk about the show we did in London?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we did a show. I ran a load of shows in London. I invited Joe over when he was in town, and we had this guy turn up. And when Joe walked into the room, he started crying.
I couldn't tell if he was faking or not.
I don't think he was.
He was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you.
Yes,
I'm gonna try. Oh, I can't believe it's you.
This man just had this crazy nervous energy about him, and
I could tell from his Facebook post that it was going to be a problem because he was posting in all caps.
Yes,
and I was like, either this dude's he's hilarious and he's sarcastic, or this is going to be a fucking scene. And guess what? It was a scene.
Well, the worst thing was when he went to buy a drink, he opened his wallet, and he had, in all of the little slots, he had cut out little pictures of cartoon characters, but they looked really tatty and like they'd been there a really long time. And I was like,
boy.
That's kind of creepy and weird.
He's like, how much is this? 2 Sylvesters and a Tweety?
But yeah, he kind of just like
dropped my Roadrunner card somewhere.
But he couldn't kind of control himself, could he? Because the bar lady there is a very good friend of mine, but she's a real no nonsense lady.
And what ended up happening is this is again what's so fucking funny, right? Like, if I cared that much about someone, he showed up like 1 minute into when the show was supposed to start.
Yeah.
If I was going to go see like Conan O'Brien somewhere, you bet your fucking ass I would have been there an hour ahead of time, waiting outside. Like I would not be late for the show. Yeah. So what happens is I go, hey buddy, it's all good. Hey, I'm just a person. It's fine. But you know what? Like I'm totally down to hang out with you, but the show just started. And so like, if you just go watch the show and we can hang out afterward. Okay. And he goes, yeah, sure. No problem. At which point I fucking leave the building. Because I don't want it to become a scene. And I'm outside and I can hear him from outside.
Yeah, he was like shouting over the acts. He got into an argument with the bar staff, and then he was
So he leaves, but he's outside, like just looking in the windows for like the next 10 minutes, then starts screaming. It eventually goes away, which was almost more unnerving than him being where I could see him. Now he's fucking in the wind. And so, thankfully, Sam gave me a ride home. By the way, giving someone a ride home in London is the worst thing ever. I can't believe anyone does it. So Sam gave me a ride home. And then what happened was I decided, so that I knew it was going to be crazy on Facebook, right? Because I hadn't blocked the guy or anything yet. So I'm like dreading opening my Facebook page. And I open it up. It's like 47 plus in the notification thing. And he said that he was going to come back and burn the place down.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Have you ever seen the movie Red Dragon? You know, when he talks about like, do you see?
Yeah.
Do you see? He'd kind of written this stuff like, nobody knows my true power.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
And so I tried one last time to be like, hey man, I'm sorry about what happened last night. I never would tell him he didn't do anything wrong, but I'm sorry it happened, right? It's a genuine apology. I'm sorry about what happened last night. I wish things had gone differently. But I do want you to know that like it was nobody's fault but your own. And it seems like maybe there's some other stuff going on, and we all have bad days sometimes. But I can't blame the other people that were involved in this. Like hopefully like you can look inward and maybe we can be chill. And then he wrote back that he was going to drink my blood.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow,
So
that's
I blocked
really good.
him.
Yeah.
So I blocked him after that. But anyway, that's the kind of celebrity I am. Where I have that guy, But if I like go to a club in Vegas, they're like, back of the line, loser. And I still have blood drinker guy.
Yeah. You've got a little tattoo of him now, haven't you? You've always got blood drinker.
I'm the level of celebrity where like I can't relate to anyone blue collar anymore, but I'm still in massive amounts of debt. Like that's the sort of status that I have in the world.
I feel like I've worked very hard and I do a lot of stuff in London and I've got my specials out and everything, but I have a very specific type of nerdy man who likes what I do and I'm really, really happy with that. And I always kind of say, like, me and my wife, we travel all around the country in England doing shows, and whenever we go somewhere, there's always like one guy who knows me, and I'm like really happy with that. But none of them give me their money, so it's not of any use. Do you know what I mean? So if more of you want to get to know me, that's wonderful. Let's have a drink, let's hang out. But, you know, just slip me like $5 per hangout. And then if we can do that, then that's going to keep me liquid.
We're in quite different financial positions.
Yes.
I would be mortified if someone tried to slip me $5 for hanging out with them.
Oh, I've got no... Yeah, oh, I love it. It's like being on, like, Beaver and the Dam. 95.8 Saturday mornings. That's great.
We love, yeah. Well, I mean, I had a podcast way back in the day, and we were like, we're just a morning radio show at night. You know, we used to beat Rogan. I like to say that whenever I can.
Yeah,
every once in a
cool.
while.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but it'd be like number 7, Huff and Stapes. Number 8, the Joe Rogan Experience.
Well, that was when he was still a normal man.
Oh, yeah. This was like when he was, I think, just interviewing comedians. Yeah.
Wow.
Just like 2000, I'm going to say like 2011, 2012.
Yeah. So should we do a little Joe Rogan segment right now? So basically, everything you know about the sun is wrong. I've been doing the math myself. 1 + 1 = 5, it turns out.
Well, actually, I was just talking to a guy at a bar last night. He said that there's a kid 2 towns over that identifies as the sun.
I fucking love
and
that.
all the kids have to wear shades to respect the sun. And so, yeah, that's what I heard.
Well, I adore that. I think... but, you know, it's crazy, isn't it? What if I wanted to identify as a T-shirt and then make people wear me? Would that have to happen?
Man, what's next? Identifying as a piece of thread in a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line?
Maybe I want to be a molecule in the piece of thread, in the T-shirt, and then I'm too small, and I've got to line up with other molecules. It's just going to be impractical.
That's how you get in the drinking water.
That's how I get in the water, and I'm poisoning the water's mind. And I'm making the frogs.
I can't wait for people to
homosexual.
cut this up out of context, leaving off the part where we're doing a bit about conspiracy theory shows, and it's just like Joe Stapleton, anti-sun.
I do have one conspiracy theory that I actually believe in.
Really?
Right? Yeah. Everyone in their house has a load of cutlery, right?
Sure.
You've got knives, forks, spoons. You've got all this stuff, yeah? When you get a house, it comes with cutlery, yeah? Have you ever broken a fork? No. No one has.
Can't
No
say
one's
I
ever
have.
broken a fork or a spoon or a knife. Yet cutlery companies still exist. They're pumping out new cutlery every fucking hour of the day. Where's all this cutlery going? That's what I want to know.
That's a good question.
This is how far removed Sam is from people having any sort of expendable income. Where Sam's cutlery, aka silverware, is what he means.
Yes, it's my grandmother's silverware.
It's been passed down for generations. Whereas if you grow up in like the upper middle class suburbs, one day your mom goes, I don't like this anymore, and goes out and buys new cutlery and
crazy.
throws it in the
Yeah.
trash.
I've never seen that.
Or
Pretty much,
they'll shift the good cutlery over to being the regular cutlery and then get new good cutlery. But yeah, man, people in the suburbs buy cutlery. I don't mean to know but your bit, but I think that anyone that grew up like outside of a housing project was probably like, nah, my mom got new cutlery at some point.
I need to have a think about that then. Yeah, I genuinely do have my grandmother's silverware. I know you did that as a joke.
That's fantastic.
I've got a beautiful set of Sheffield steel
Right,
cutlery.
and good. And by the way, sorry, because I know it's a bit, but I'm trying to debunk your conspiracy theory. Is that this stuff used to be really high quality and was built to last hundreds of years. Now stuff isn't built quite as high quality, or the stuff that is crazy expensive. And here's a good conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah.
Your dishwasher's fucking up your silverware too. You don't have a dishwasher, do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
That's obviously why I've never broken a fork.
The heat, the chemicals, it's really bad on all the stuff you put in there. So,
Oh, so it's big dishwasher, you're saying.
That's right.
They're in charge.
Sponsor me, Maytag. Got a room right there for you. Right there. Whirlpool. A little longer. Let's do this.
So, Joe, you mentioned your job. Can you tell me about it more? How do you get into poker, and how do you get onto poker commentating on ESPN, Fox Sports? What is that, man?
Yeah, man, I got real lucky. I was just I moved to LA to try to be a funny guy. Didn't really work very hard at it. Got a pretty good job on a comedy show as a production person, not anything having to do with being funny. And just kind of like did what a lot of people do. I like cashed my check every week. I worked 60 hours a week. I went and drank and partied. I was 23 years old. I wasn't really very motivated. I tried stand up once, and it was so stressful that I didn't do it again for like probably 7 or 8 years. I didn't write. I didn't do anything to sort of advance myself. I was kind of on a path. If I could have eventually been a producer probably on a sitcom. But what happened was I got an internship as a writer at a poker magazine one summer, and that world kind of appreciated me being funny. And long story short, I went from poker writer to poker podcast host to poker television host. Basically, there's a company called Poker Stars who I still work for to this day. They did a TV show called The Big Game way back in 2009 is when they were sort of producing it. And they wanted a new voice. They wanted someone young and someone irreverent. And luckily, there were people behind the scenes that kind of knew of my podcast and knew of stuff that I had written. They were like, this is your guy. If you want new and irreverent, this is your guy.
Well, you got into the podcast kind of sphere fairly early on as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
You were
like
kind of
when
an
I
early
say,
adopter.
Yeah, when I say we used to beat Rogan, like obviously my co-host and I we quit in 2013 despite having consistently a top 50 iTunes comedy podcast.
That's amazing, man.
Consistently top 20, I would say. Occasional top 10. There was no money in it, and no one figured out that there was going to be money in it.
Yeah.
So we both went our separate ways. I already had my job on TV doing poker stuff. He had been a producer's assistant for a long time, and he was like, hey, my producer told me that like when his development deal comes in and he's got a production company, I'm gonna run it for him. And that's about to happen. So we split up because there was no. He wanted to have a family. He wanted to have kids. I didn't really care, but like I was traveling so much for poker that it was hard to do the podcast consistently, and so we quit. But we quit. I think the month we quit, we had 100,000 downloads of our podcast, which again was not. That was huge numbers back then. There weren't millions of people. No one was getting 1 million. I think maybe Mark Maron was getting around the 1 million mark. But so I did all that, and then I ended up getting plopped on a poker TV show, and luckily the show was a huge hit.
The show was called Plopped as well.
That's right, yeah. Plop and chips with Stapes.
Plop on the flop. Oh, I like that.
What even was like a
That was
Western
like a
sound?
sexy cat.
Oh, I thought it was like one of those noises from like a Western, like wee wee wee, whatever that is.
It was a wow.
Oh, wow, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
It sounds like a child, actually. Maybe don't play the 8-year-old's wow for my lines. You can use that, Sam, if you want. The show did pretty well, and we got unlucky because the government in America banned online poker like the next year, and that's who was sponsoring the show. So that led to me moving to England for a couple of years, which is how I ended up
That's what I was wondering, how
Sam.
this connection even happened.
Yeah, so basically what happened was when I sort of got forced to move to England because that's where poker television moved to after it got banned in America. Forced is the wrong word. It was convenient for me to move to England, and I said to myself, and I was working like 2 days a week, and I said, man, this is your time to be you want to be a comedian? You want to call yourself a comedian? You better start doing comedy. And so I started doing open mics in England 3-4 nights a week. Not as much as real comedians do, which is 5-6 nights a week, but I was going out a couple of times a week. And if it weren't for doing comedy in England, like making the run at it, I don't know that I would have stuck with it. Because I got to skip. The place where most people fail is like the first or second step. and of like a marathon. And because it's so hard in the beginning. And so that's where you lose most people. And it was just a little easier for me because I had an American accent. And so anything I said was automatically like a little bit funnier. And I could do a lot of like kind of hacky material that a Londoner could never get away with. But from an American, it's, I wouldn't say charming, but it's at least different.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, it's nice because in the London scene, you get a lot of wacky alternative guys, you know, the sort of stuff you don't see in America almost at all. And it's kind of a refreshing thing to have an American doing like the American style of stand-up on a British show.
Exactly.
And it works the other way for me. And it's like, that's why I think I do well over here because I'm an unusual thing.
Love him. Yeah, no, he really charms the audience in a different way than I do. But yeah, he's got them wrapped around his finger from the beginning. So that's one way I got to sort of have the training wheels on, right? A little bit of an advantage. And the other way was I would like go to a website of all the open mics and I would email and go, hey, my name is Joe Stapleton. I was wondering if you know, what the process is for your open mic. Da, da, da. And they would write back, oh, you're the guy from poker. You don't have to do the open mic. I'll give you a slot on Friday, middle of the lineup. I'm sure you'll be fine. And what people mostly don't know about comedy is that for the most part, you're like a goldfish and you will only grow as big as the tank that you're in. And so the second, for most comedians, like I'd say from average, unless you're really bad at it or have a really bad night, they put you in a bigger tank, you grow to accommodate. Yeah. So by skipping that really awful playing to no one step where you have no idea if you're funny or not, it's really hard to tell. And then just go and do one show where there's 30 people. Yeah. Huge advantage.
I completely agree. I think the thing because a lot of new people, how are we doing for time, Squire? Are we still all right?
We're good.
Oh, okay, cool. There's a lot of new people who kind of ask me like, how do I do this? And I'm like, the most important thing is not to engage with the gossip and the nonsense of the lowest level of comedy. Do not get into the politics of open mic comedy. Get to know the people who are good.
Don't be on the scene. Yeah, don't be on the scene. Be friends with people. That's helpful. But yeah, don't.
But yeah, because the biggest mistake I see is a lot of people, because we all know when you're new, you do these terrible rooms with way too many comedians in. You get a short amount of time. Everybody knows this is the fact. But do not broadcast this to the world. Do not do a post that says, oh, I did an open mic yesterday and it went really badly. Because what you're telling the world is, I am an open mic comic. And I care about the politics and who's running what room, and I get too into it. And then it's like Joe was saying, you kind of become entrenched in this little thing. I think the important thing is, you know, just to, A, work hard to be good, B, try and get to know the nice people and the good people, and C, like, just build a thing, you know, build a little scene. It's like the music scenes in the olden days. You know, you have your little clique of guys that you really like. One of you succeeds, we all succeed. That's kind of how I feel a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have aspiring comedians or even artistic-minded people, what your audience is here, but what I would say to people who are starting out in stand-up, no matter what age, would be your performance level, your first X number of gigs, how well you do, is almost zero indication of to what sort of comic you will be.
100%.
It is very similar to poker. If you sit down to poker and you lose the first time you ever play, that doesn't mean you're a bad poker player. You don't know what sort of poker player you are yet. You don't know what sort of comedian you are yet. So I think that that's the hardest thing to get through, is to know that it's like going to the gym. It sucks if it doesn't mean you have no idea what your body's going to look like at the end. And so it's really easy to quit when it's only pain and no gain. And there also, the flip side of that is some people have tried it long enough.
Yes, and they should know.
And they should know maybe it's not for them. But I would say that, like, a year might not even be enough.
Oh, no. I think, because I
want to even have an inkling, of whether or not you've got a future in it.
I wanted to be one of the... In the UK, we had a real cool alternative scene in the 80s, and I really wanted to be one of these super alternative, very loud, very weird comics. And when I first started, that was 100% what I thought I was going to be. And only by trying to do that for literally 2.5 years did I finally come round to the idea that, oh, much as this is my favourite type of comedy, this isn't actually me. And as soon as I then took all the bits of that I liked and moved it towards it being a bit more conversational, a bit more kind of real life, and definitely a lot quieter and a lot more kind of centered. As soon as I did that, I found it was working so much better, and I was like, oh, okay, like that's what worked for these guys that I love, but it's not what works for me. And I think having that self-awareness is one of the hardest things, like, because you get very, you want to be X, Y, or Z, you want to...
Here's my self-aware. I still don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
I still don't know if I want to be a storyteller comic, or if I want to be an observational comic, or if I want to be a personal, I really don't know. And it is a science in many ways, but you can never recreate the environment, like the conditions of the experiment fully.
Yeah.
So... what might work in one room might not work in another room, and you maybe brought the same amount of energy, the same exact timing, but there's just like the ceiling is lower.
Yeah, just something is weird, yeah.
Or there's a toilet going off in the background. And I that's not to make excuses, because I think the best comedians in the world immediately adjust and adapt to those things. But it does make it, it does make it so that, and Sam's, by the way, is a guy that probably does more comedy in a year than I do in 5 years. So he's able to adjust and like evolve as a comedian a lot faster than I can. So because my opportunities are so much further apart than his, it makes it difficult for me to really analyze that data and go, oh, how do I fix this, fix that? So it's a hard thing to practice, is what I'm saying.
Yes. And you can't practice in front of the mirror. You can only practice at the gig. And in answer to your original question, one of the very first things we did together was my podcast, wasn't it? You came to do that.
That's right. Yeah,
many moons ago.
To this day, one of the only improv podcasts I ever did. What did we?
I had this podcast called Segmentertainment. It was way too much work. Basically, I would write a new theme song every week.
Oh, wow.
And the theme songs started the conversations. And then each guest would say what the next theme tune was going to be about. And then, because that's complicated enough, I also did characters on the show. So I thought, no one wants to listen to just two comedians have a talk, because it's fun. But sometimes it can get a bit dry, and you start to repeat the topics if you're here every week,
Sure.
So I had like this whole pretend world that existed full of all these characters that I would play. And if the other person wanted to do a character, they could come and do a character. And it was a very I built this entire almost Marvel Universe style world. And as the podcast went on, I had to occasionally reset it back to zero, because it got so ridiculous with the stories and the characters that I'd have to go, because there was one point I was running from a hitman living in a sewer, but also living in the sewer was a chud that was trying to eat me, because this was a chud that exclusively ate poor people.
They always add too many villains.
Yes.
There's always too many villains. Just focus on the one villain.
Exactly. And the hitman was after me because I'd tricked an old woman into thinking I was her husband to try and steal her wealth and her...
Well, you could never make that movie today.
Exactly. So her family had tried to hire a hitman to kill me. And then, of course, I'd have a guest on, and they'd not listened to the 50 hours of podcast.
Of course.
And I'd have to sit down and go, right, okay, so at the moment...
Hey, would you mind coming on my show?
Yeah.
Just real quick before you join us, if you could just listen to all 50 episodes and sort of... Just to prove it to me that you did it and you understand. If you could just write 6, 7
I'm going to need a written essay about where we're at currently.
Just a quick 8 pages.
Yeah.
And scene.
Yeah, that's right. It was unbelievable. It was way too much work. I don't know why I put myself through that, really.
But that's cool. So the music background is still a big influence.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I still make quite a lot of music. I've got a studio in my house because.
Oh, cool.
He was slapping the skins last night, from what I understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was doing a bit of jamming last night. I was playing with a little band last night. It was super fun.
Nice.
But yeah, I've just finished a musical project with a friend of mine, because I only make music for no one.
Hold on a second. There are 2 of you.
Oh, there's 2 of us. So there's at least 2 of us.
Don't sell yourself short.
My friend is the #1 Instagram Wallace and Gromit influencer. He is the go-to guy for Wallace and Gromit knowledge, Pez dispensers as well. He loves those.
Wow.
But when he was
Okay.
19, he was a death metal singer. And he said to me, Sam, do you want to make a Wallace and Gromit themed death metal album? And I said, hell yeah, of course I do. So we finished recording that a couple of weeks ago, and it's coming out once I go home, which is crazy. So that's the sort of thing I do. I just have no mainstream ambition, is what I'm getting.
Can we talk for a second about the world's #1 Wallace and Gromit influencer?
Yes.
How granular do you think we can get with like world's number one influencer? Like Wallace and Gromit's like pretty specific,
niche.
and then it's like number one. Well, I'm the world's number one influencer of trucker hats. Yeah, I'm the world's number one influencer of the caps at the end of shoelaces.
Oh, that would be a good
I'm
one.
the
I
world's
would watch
number one
that.
influencer over the letter P. Like, how is everything? You know, can you like? What's the smallest thing you could be an influencer for? I had a friend who, tell me if this bit works here. I had a friend who, she was a big YouTuber, and she retired. She quit YouTubing, and in her farewell video, she said, you know, I'm going to walk away from this, and I'm going to use this time to explore my passions. And I'm just like, where are we at in a society now that becoming a YouTuber isn't
a
your passion?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, is it something that's like, my father was a YouTuber, his father was a YouTuber?
It's like working in a mine, having to make YouTube
like, I'm
every day.
sorry, I was like, I can't handle this. I need to go do something creative.
I've had to break up with another boyfriend, so I've got make another video about the top 10 Stanley Cups.
Yeah, it's just like,
done.
so I'm just like, man, that's where we're at now. We're like, not only is influencer a job, but it's like
It's like
a
an
grind.
exhausting, terrible job.
It's a bad job. It's a job that people don't want to do anymore. Like, ugh, another day in the influencer mind. It's like so ridiculous. She's like, I want to go to med school, Dad. He's like, no. You will do content.
You're going to do that thing where two people tell a joke and you laugh way too hard, even though the joke's not that funny.
Wait, have we been doing that?
We've been doing that a lot.
Shit.
Yeah. Because you need the Instagram version of it, where it's just two men going, ah!
That's right. You're not going to the SATs today. We're doing reaction thumbnails at noon.
Hey!
Surprise, motherfucker.
I feel bad that guy got bleeped, and I've been swearing this whole time.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
Yikes.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
Luke, I feel like we haven't asked you anything about you.
I know. Luke, you've been a very passive
Is that
person
right?
in this thing. But
Well,
it's nice, man, because
this is your opportunity on the show
I
to
appreciate
share
it.
your story
But
here.
this is us turning it around on you because we're great
because
guests.
now we want to
Okay.
learn
Because we're
about
really
you.
good guests.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, hey, I'm an open book, guys.
Tell us a funny story that your audience hasn't heard yet. Something recent that happened to you. Maybe at
Something
the
recent.
maybe at the Piggly Wiggly.
Piggly
or Taco
Wiggly.
John's.
Yeah, let's see. Funny story? Gosh, put me on the spot here. Let's see.
What is the Piggly Wiggly?
That's a grocery store chain. I don't think they actually have it here. It's more of a southern thing.
Yeah, we don't have one here.
I couldn't remember the name of the store we saw yesterday. Save Plus,
Oh, yeah.
Cost World.
Cost World. Oh, you'll like this. Our version of Dollar General back home, no joke, is called Poundland. Yeah.
Poundland.
Poundland. Yeah, that's what we get.
But the weird thing is, as you walk in, you have
I
to
just
do
got
this to all the employees. Yeah, that's part of it. You don't get the
Poundland.
discount otherwise.
It took me a second to get that, but yeah, Poundland. Got it.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if I just, for me to try to be funny in front of two comedians, it's kind of, I'm just cringing in my mind.
Sure, look, I don't want to force you to do this, but for other people out there, when I've sure put a lot of people into doing comedy for their first time. I'd say probably well over like 24 people. And what we used to do actually is at a poker event, there was an open mic night, and anyone that genuinely had interest in doing comedy would come up and do it, and there'd be like 7 or 8 people. And then I'd go, hey, here's all an open mic is. Who wants to come up and tell a funny story?
Yeah.
20, 30 people end up after that going up. So all you have to do, and this is stuff that we do, have one in your mind that you just like,
just for
when
a few-
I need to be
yeah.
funny, how do I work my way into telling this story? So I'm sure you have a funny
Well,
story.
sure,
and
yeah.
It's just a little bit weird to be put on the spot.
Yeah,
but,
let's go. Think of one right now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just have a go-to funny story.
Well, what's the deal with Scandinavia, anyways?
Oh, man, what is the deal with Scandinavia?
All
They're
right, here
so
we go.
beautiful, but they're so...
Most of my stories start with "What's the deal with blank?"
What is the deal? Well, that's the American way to do it, isn't it? What is the deal with Scandinavia?
We
They're
also
so tall.
I think erase the last 10 years. I think Seinfeld's God. I think
I do. I love it.
all right.
I'm a huge fan
I love
of it.
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's only saying those things because he's got a movie that's come out, and that's how you get to the top of every listing right now.
Maybe, but the
Woke
movie
is
the movie-
destroying
the movie
comedy. I can't talk about food or waiting in a restaurant anymore.
Yeah, the one where he took the helicopter to the show, I was like, he might be out of touch at this
It might
point.
be a little bit out of touch. Yeah, helicoptering in like James Bond.
Yeah.
That really makes.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Can you play this on bass?
Yeah, of course I can. I learned to play it on piano when I came a couple of years ago because that's actually a piano. That's not a bass. Huh. They have a because he had to play it every week so it would fit around the stand up. So for every episode of Seinfeld, he re-recorded the intro theme, which is pretty.
They dropped the
hard work.
stand up eventually, but yeah,
For the whole they did it like literally hundreds of times. You had to play that. Yeah,
That's cool.
It's cool. I like it. It's one of my favorite pieces of music,
Nice.
and it's now become so synonymous with like stand up. You know, it's nice. I did a joke about it on my very first special, actually, where I used a spoof version of that music to highlight a little joke that I'd made. And I had the little hi-hats going.
That's cool.
Yeah. Because I'm a nerd.
I like that.
So I'll work on that story.
Yeah.
Let me think about that. Yeah.
What have we
Next time
learned
we're
here
here.
today?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
that. Maybe we can wrap it up with
Should we do a wrap-up? We'll do a little what I've learned
I don't even
today.
know how long we've been on for. It feels like hours.
I think we've been here a very long time.
Just over an hour.
Just
Okay.
over an hour.
Right
Okay.
at an
That
hour,
feels
5
like-
minutes.
Is that all right for you? And
Yeah, that's
Should we
great.
do a little wrap-up? What would you like to say in reflection, Joe? You know, looking back at your entire life and career.
I really just want to get some more plugs in because we got to put some butts in chairs for
That's
this
true.
show. So, Stapes.com, all letters, Stapes.com. And another thing that I do, because you remember the game Oregon Trail?
Sure do.
Remember you could play as the banker and just have every resource available to you?
Yes.
That's me on a comedy tour. So I just go, hey, anyone that listens to this show, come up to me at any of our shows and say Union Street Arts to me, and I'll buy you a drink.
Oh my gosh.
Because
now
what's
that is
money?
cool.
Who fucking cares?
That's
What's
it. That's
money?
how we get bums on
What do we
seats.
care if I make $300 for the show and spend $900 on drinks? That's comedy life, baby. Sometimes you gotta bootstrap it like that. Sometimes you gotta bootstrap it and put $15K on your Amex in 23 days.
That's a lot of Bud Lights.
Yes.
It is a lot of Bud Lights, especially in this neck of the woods. So yes, Stapes.com. Love to see you at the shows, gang. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys. This has been a lot of
Come
fun.
down. Come watch the shows. It's going to be great. I'm excited to be here. Come meet a British person and slip $5 into his back pocket.
Heck yeah.
Spank him on the butt.
Guys, where can people find you if they want to find you online, find you on the tour?
Everything I do is Sam Rhodes, Rhodes, Rhodes like the island, Sam Rhodes CE, which stands for Comedy Explosion, because that's what my thing used to be called. Now it's just Sam Rhodes CE. I'm on all of the major platforms. That's the name for it. Send me an Instagram. You can watch my specials on Amazon, or you can buy them direct from my website, samrhodesce.com.
All right, Sam, thanks for being here, man.
My pleasure, dude.
Joe, where can people find you?
It's actually Sam Rhodes CE2. Couldn't get the first one somehow. On Twitter, I am at Stapes. On Instagram, I am at InstaStapes. And yes, Stapes.com, JoeStapleton.com also works. And yes, I'm very interactive, so get in touch. I will certainly reply individually to anyone and everyone.
He's a tactile man.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good luck on the tour.
Cheers.
I'll
Pleasure.
be seeing you tonight.
This was beautiful.
All right. And tune in next time, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. United Stapes Rhodes Tour. Check them out, guys.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for coming. That's it. All right.
Oh, so much fun.
Thanks for doing it.
Do you mind if I tear out the Joe part?
Sure. I do not mind.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Great fun.
Thanks, fellas.
Really enjoyed that. One of the much more comfortable podcast studios I've been.
Oh, good. Very good. Maybe we can do a picture with the sign. Emails if you want to shoot you a message.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Flyers.
Yeah. I can do a trinket. I would love to have it. My wife has recently helped me kind of clear everything.
Okay.
I lived in like a proper man cave for like 8 years, and then she moved
This is
in,
where I'm gonna fuck it up.
and it's like,
You got it.
it's on it.
You're less of a man if you use a tool. If you break
That's
down.
right. Yeah, of course.
So fucking, I'm using my fucking hands. Cool. This is
you go,
awesome.
there
And
you
this
go.
Euro lady made this?
Yeah.
Tell her I said thank you. This is awesome.
Very nice. That is nice, isn't it?